Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I wanted to discuss the power of feminine energy and how to reclaim our feminine energy, which is often missing in our relationships without us even realizing how wonderful it can be and how impactful it can be on our romantic journey towards gaining healthy relationships and keeping that spark and that passion alive in a relationship. So why is it important to know about feminine energy, and why is it important for the majority of us women that are wanting or looking for an opposite sex relationship to know about feminine energy and to reclaim that if we've not been living in that energy for whatever reason? Well, for me, I know that it's so important because, I've been through a phase where on my journey, was not in my feminine energy and didn't realize how that impacted my past relationships. Because quite often as women, if we get hurt, if we have any previous trauma, abuse, heartbreak from previous relationships or previous experiences, quite often what that does is it makes us default into our masculine energy, because we all have both energies. We all have both masculine and feminine energies regardless of our genders. So it's how do we use these to our advantage, especially in romantic relationships, to gain the healthy passion and aliveness and fulfillment that I think the majority of us are really looking for and really want in our relationships. So firstly, I think we need to understand that, there are two sorts of feminine energy. One can be the healthy feminine energy, and the other can be the unhealthy feminine energy. The unhealthy feminine energy comes from a place of lack and comes from a place of fear, and usually is mind-based. It's when we sort of default into our ego and are not really connecting to our intuition and our heart. So when we are in that unhealthy feminine energy, what traits you'll exude are things like being clingy, needy, desperate, subservient and submissive in a victim type mentality way. You probably would have no boundaries, never give your partner any consequences for any bad behavior and actions that they may bestow on you. And you might also be too forgiving and be very much giving yourself maybe the label of being a people pleaser. Now, all these traits are not healthy traits, and they all come from a place of subconsciously fear, and manifest in our current relationships as a result of our previous experiences. So if you do find, you are exuding these traits of being clingy, needy, desperate, subservient, submissive, and generally, find yourself being used as a bit of a doormat because you've got no boundaries and you give and set no consequences for any unacceptable behaviors, then know that that is you being in your unhealthy feminine energy, and that can be changed. We can always change the energy we're in once we're aware of what's happening and how that's showing up in our relationships, and how it's not necessarily manifesting or attracting great relationships, because we all attract relationships based on how we're treating ourselves first and foremost. So if we're not sort of loving on ourselves, and most of us are quite quite ignorant and not actually conscious of not actually loving or treating ourselves very well. But when we think about it, when we start becoming more aware, what I mean by becoming more aware, I mean observing what you say about yourself to yourself and to others. So if you really listen to your own language that goes on in your head, your own self-chatter, and also what you say about yourself to others, if that is all negative and derogatory and putting yourself down, then you are going to attract a relationship or relationships around you that are going to really mirror that back to you. So how do we change that? Well, firstly, become aware of, as I say, that self-talk, as well as what you're verbalizing to others around how you're treating yourself primarily, and start to change it, start to catch yourself. I'm not saying it's going to be easy and that you're going to be able to, switch things around straight away, but the more you become aware of your own negative self-talk, the more you can easily start to catch yourself and start to change that and turn it around. So where do we want to head to? Well, we want to head towards, embracing and reclaiming our healthy feminine energy, so that we're not exuding those negative toxic traits which attract unhealthy relationships. We are actually exuding and attracting healthy relationships by exuding healthy feminine energy. And what do I mean by healthy feminine energy? It's when we're being our natural core selves. If you know that within yourself, your natural core self is a healthy feminine energy. And it's not always the same as our gender, by the way, but usually in opposite sex relationships it is. But it can be the other way around. But usually your natural core energy is the same as your gender in opposite sex relationships. So your natural core energy will be your feminine, although we exude both and can default into both healthy energies and unhealthy energies, regardless of whether that's masculine or feminine energies, and regardless of whether you're a woman or a man. So, the healthy feminine energy is when you're exuding that playfulness, that sensual energy. You're being very compassionate from a healthy, safe, secure place of confidence. You've got that healthy, nurturing energy around you. You're very much tapping into your intuition and listening to your intuition and coming from your heart rather than your head. That the heart space is very much the feminine, and the heart space is very much where you are living from a place of love, not fear. So it's letting go and trusting that it's okay and safe to let go of any fear, and really listen to your intuition and start to exude that natural love that's within all of us, from a place of knowing that that's your greatest feminine strength. And when you can really learn to love yourself for who you are and accept yourself for who you are, your femininity is what really is a very attractive trait to strong, healthy, masculine men. And I know that, most of us women do want a strong, healthy, masculine male that exudes, healthy masculine traits, so that we can have a healthy, passionate, intimate relationship, and enjoy the fruits of that being the ultimate fulfillment of living a relationship that's really alive. So, actually coming from a place of sometimes vulnerability, if you're in your healthy feminine, is a good thing. It's not good if you're vulnerable from a place of being awful to yourself and critical of yourself, and that fear-driven mindset mentality that can sometimes, as I say, attract people that are going to treat you like a doormat. But if you're vulnerable from a place of feminine strength, from your heart space, where you have, and you've learned to love yourself, you've learned to accept yourself for who you are, and you've learned to really get in touch with your intuition sharing your own vulnerability from that space is extremely attractive to the opposite sex. And, once you have that type of self-awareness, it is phenomenal what you can create and attract in terms of a healthy relationship going forward. Now, if this is something you've really struggled with and you really don't know how to do it and where to start, or, what to do in terms of kicking off the process to learning how to, first of all, love yourself, and then second of all, learning how to then naturally progress to reclaim your healthy feminine energy, then I want to invite you to get in touch with me. I'm here to serve women in particular. I do help men as well, but it is my greatest passion to help women enjoy and attract and create the healthiest relationships that they could ever wish to have in their lives. That is what I'm here for, and it is what I love to do. So if you are interested in learning more about this topic of femininity and how to really tap into that healthy feminine energy, then do get in touch. It's easy to get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook under Lyn Smith, and it's Lyn Life Coach on the Facebook site on my profile, as well as you can contact me via my email, which is lyn@hearts-entwined.com. So connect with me. I'm here for you. I want to support you. I value you, and I just want to be able to give you my best value and all my experience and all my knowledge on this topic, because I just know how life-changing it can be, especially for our most precious, romantic, intimate relationships. So on that note, I'll just leave you with true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.